Have you been in the market for a new dress watch and are just tired of the usual suspects? The same old tired, washed out recommendations. You know the ones I'm talking about. The Orient Bambino, the Timex Marlin. Well, today, guys, I've got a full review of a dress watch that I think is not only the best dress watch on AliExpress, but it might be one of the best value dress watches in the entire market. My name's Rob, and welcome back to Above the Six Watch Reviews. I'm super pumped up today, guys. I can't wait to show you my full review of the FARASUTE 5336A. So admittedly, I love a good dress watch. It's one of my favorite styles of watches, and I've had my eye on this watch for probably the better part of about 6 to 8 months. I've spent a couple of weeks with it, and today we're going to run through my full review and really show you what this watch has to offer. So without any further ado, let's get started with a quick spec check. So we have a case diameter of 39 millimeters. We have a case thickness of 10.4 millimeters. We have a lug to lug of 47.2 millimeters. And we have a lug width of 19.5 millimeters. All right, now that we got the specs out of the way, let's take a look at one of my favorite parts of this watch, and that's the dial. So this is one of the big reasons why I wanted to pick this watch up, and it's, I'm a sucker for a textured finish on a dial, and if we look closely, this watch has one of my favorite textures of all, and that's a guilloche pattern. So if you look, we've got a couple of different sections of this dial. So in the center section, we've got that printed guilloche pattern. One of the really cool things about this guilloche pattern, guys, especially when you get it out into daylight or sunlight, is that, it looks different based on the different angles where light hits it. So sometimes it'll be, barely visible, and then other times you'll get a very impactful view of the guilloche pattern. And I think it just brings a ton of texture and a ton of depth to the actual dial itself. And I think it kind of helps the watch lean into the vintage charm that we'll talk about probably consistently through this review. We've also got a small seconds complication here on this watch as well, which is one of my favorite features for a dress watch. So we can see it says automatic there. And then we've got a pretty thin small seconds hand there ticking away. From there, we've got an outer ring where we've got the indices. So if we look at the indices have almost an angled or an angular feel to them, or structure to them, I should say. And what that does is it brings actually a little bit of depth to the indices themselves. They do have a very high polished finish on them. So they do reflect light. They look great in different lighting settings. And really gives you that elegant kind of classy feel to the dial. So I think the indices do a great job, and they match tremendously with the handset itself. So we've got one of my favorite handsets for a dress watch, and that's a Dauphine handset. So as you can see, very high polish on that handset. Very sharp tips to them. The hands are a good size, especially I think if you look at that minute hand, it goes pretty much right to the outer minute track. And then we've got the hour hand as well that's just a little bit shy of the indices. But overall, great polish to them, great look. Really gives you that luxurious look to the handset. I think which matches perfectly with the dial itself. Great looking handset. The dial is well proportioned also, guys. So we've got the FARASUTE text logo written there up at the top. We've got the handset marginally lower than that, and then the small seconds sub dial. So I think if I pull the watch out here, I think we've got great spacing to the actual dial itself. And then we've got the outer minute ring that's wrapped around the exterior of the dial. The dial is black, so I went with something pretty conservative. They do have a couple of different colorways. The salmon option actually looks really killer as well. And then they've got a white or kind of a silvery dial, and then a blue dial as well. I'm not a huge fan of the blue dial. I don't think it necessarily suits a dress watch, but I went with the black, and it's very much like a jet black. I wouldn't say enamel, but we've definitely got almost a lacquer finish to it, and I think it absolutely looks great and would definitely work for more kind of formal or even business settings. So overall, I think they did an excellent job on this dial. And having looked around on AliExpress, I couldn't really find another dial that really matched the original design, giving you a lot of texture, and just when you have it in hand, that overall quality of finishing is really top notch. So very happy with the dial of this watch in person. As always, guys, appreciate the support. So if you can drop a like, hit that subscribe button, it's greatly appreciated. And last time I checked, it's still free to do so. We've got a ton of content coming up, so you don't want to miss out on any of it. We've got unboxings, full-on reviews, and some banger list videos. So smash that subscribe button and stay tuned for all of our upcoming new content. All right, moving on, we're going to take a look at the crystal for this watch. So a great dial is nothing unless you have a good crystal on top of it. And I think they've done a really good job with the selection of this crystal. So we've got a slightly domed crystal that is sapphire, and we've got some decent amount of AR coating on it as well. Again, I think they made a really smart choice going with the domed crystal. So I think it helps lean again into that vintage feel for the watch. And I think overall it does a great job of showcasing all the features that we just talked about that are in that dial. It performs pretty well in daylight and in sunlight conditions. I'll drop a small B-roll here for you guys to take a look. And I think it's important that they went with this type of crystal. Obviously, sapphire is going to be a lot more durable, a lot more scratch resistant. But also, whenever you have a dial that's got this much going on with different textures, obviously high polishing, you want a crystal that's really going to match up with that and be able to highlight all those features. And I think this crystal does a really great job in doing so. Moving on, we're going to take a look at the case. So if we take a look, this is obviously a 39 millimeter watch. So I think one of the things with this case, the overall silhouette, which I think is great, but the bezel itself is a little bit thin. So the watch will wear slightly bigger than a 39 millimeter. But we've got, if you can take a look at the bezel, guys, I'll bring it in a little bit closer. We've got very high polish here, almost like a mirror polish. And that runs throughout the case of the watch, which I think is great for a dress watch, right? Like you want that polish, you want that shine for special occasions or formal events. But the bezel itself is a little bit thin. So warning, this watch will wear slightly bigger than a 39 millimeter. But that polish from the bezel will run throughout the watch and into the lugs. Now the lugs are one of my favorite parts of this case. So we've got lugs, and I'll bring it down here, and this will probably be a better look for you guys. So the lugs are actually, in my opinion, extended. So I think this leans definitely more into that vintage aesthetic. And we've got great polish on these lugs. Great definition as you move into the side of the case. And we'll take a look at the case profile from the side view. As you can see, we've got a nice little downturn to those lugs, which definitely help it from a wearability standpoint. It wears extremely comfortable, good wrist hug as well. And that really comes down to that downturn in those lugs. But take a look at that polishing, guys. Great definition as you roll into the face of the lugs. And they've actually polished the underside of the case, or the top side and the bottom side of the case, as it pertains to the lug openings. And then if you flip it over, we'll do a shot of the case back. So as you can see, it's unfortunately not a transparent case back. We've got a Hangzhou custom mechanical movement. I would have absolutely loved to have seen in a transparent case back to get a look at the movement itself. It's my first experience with this type of movement. So although there's nice design and nice finish to this case back, I would have absolutely loved to have seen the actual movement. So FARASUTE, if you guys are going to be coming out with a version 2 of this watch, transparent case back would be awesome to be able to get a look at that movement. But overall, when we talk about what we like about the actual case itself, love the silhouette, love kind of the extended lugs, and the polishing and finishing throughout is absolutely world class. And I think really hard to beat when it comes to AliExpress brands with this type of finishing. I can finally see what everyone's been talking about when it comes to FARASUTE, and really comparing them to your San Martins, your Chronos, your Proximas. When it comes to their overall finishing level, they haven't disappointed. Up next, we're going to take a look at the crown for this watch. So we'll flip it over and we'll take a look, because we do have a signed crown right here. It is a push-pull crown, which is to be expected for a dress watch. So great FARASUTE logo there. And then we've got kind of our coin edge finish here to help with grip in the crown. It is a very smooth crown to operate, which I was very happy with. Again, with a custom mechanical movement, especially one that I've never had any experience with. I wasn't sure how the crown was going to work, but it's buttery smooth. The one thing I will say, and this is one of my small gripes with the watch itself, and where I feel the watch is maybe a little bit let down by one of its features, and that's the actual size of the crown itself. So pulling it out, as you can see, guys, it's a very small crown. And I would have loved to have the crown just slightly bigger. So obviously, with it being a custom mechanical movement, it's hand wind. And again, this isn't going to be a watch that you're going to be wearing on a regular basis. Maybe you're going to put it on 5 or 10 times a year. So you're gonna hand wind it. And that's a little bit of the charm that goes along or is associated with this type of watch. And I'll be honest, guys, with the grip on the crown itself, it's not actually an enjoyable experience to hand wind it. You find yourself fiddling with it. It's not, a smooth experience when it comes to the actual grip and having to wind it. And I think that's an area, again, FARASUTE, if you're going to be updating this watch, a slightly larger crown is going to go a long way to just improving the overall user experience. So yes, from an aesthetic appearance, the crown looks great, but overall, from a function standpoint, I think they could have done a little bit better, which is making that crown slightly larger. So we've already mentioned the movement a couple of times here, and this is my first experience with the Hangzhou brand. And, obviously this is a custom mechanical movement with the small seconds sub dial there as well. It seems to be working pretty well from an accuracy standpoint. I haven't noticed any spikes or drop offs, so that's great. It is an extremely quiet movement as well, guys. So that for a dress watch, I think again works extremely well. And overall, it seems like a solid movement. Time will tell, but from an accuracy and a sound standpoint, I think it's checking all the boxes. And listen, I'm not mad at Farasute using a Chinese movement. I think they're obviously trying to keep costs down so that they can keep this watch affordable. And I'm here for it, guys. I can't wait to see how this watch performs long term. But overall, from initial impressions, very happy with the movement. Up next, we're going to take a look at the strap for this watch. So as you can see, we've got it on a leather strap, which is very typical for dress watches. I would have absolutely have loved to seen if they could come out with a bracelet iteration of this watch. That would have been absolutely nails. So hopefully that's something that we might see long term. But if we flip the watch over, we've got genuine leather. You can take a look. We've got quick release spring bars, and I'll come to the point where I talk about why that's probably going to be a little bit important. Very soft, kind of pliable leather that we're working with here. So the leather is of a high quality. We've got almost a grain texture with some contrast stitching. Moving down to the keepers, which do a great job, obviously, of keeping everything snug from a fit standpoint. And then we come down to the buckle, which is a sign buckle, signed to a very good standard, polished finish. So great job there. Again, when we talk about Farasute and their finishing, it is a 20 millimeter lug width, so you should have tons of strap options to choose from. And while this is an extremely comfortable strap, especially right out of the box, I found, again, it was very, very pliable, very soft, very comfortable on the wrist to wear. I actually think the strap kind of lets down the rest of the watch. For me, this style of strap really doesn't suit what the watch's intended use is, which is as a dress watch. So I actually think the strap is kind of confusing to the overall package here that's on offer. I would have much rather seen a leather strap in brown, maybe crocodile leather, something maybe in a khaki or even a black on black, I think would have looked great. But overall, I think the strap itself is a little bit more casual than the watch is intended to be. And this is a little bit of one of my pet peeves with a lot of the AliExpress brands. So I don't think it's necessarily just Farasute. A lot of them will put a lot of effort into the dial, into the case, into the movement. And then when it comes to the strap or the bracelet, you almost feel a little bit let down. And I get it from a cost standpoint, they're trying to minimize cost, but I'd love to see a little bit more effort when it comes to the straps and the bracelets for all AliExpress brands, not just Farasute, because I think a lot of times, we love the dials, we like the finishing and the movement that's on hand, but when we get to the bracelet or the strap, we just feel a little bit let down. And in this case, pretty much the same feeling. All right, guys, now it's time to talk a little bit about price and obviously the overall value that you get from this watch. If you like what you're seeing, guys, I will drop an affiliate link here in the description. Feel free to take a look at it. It is a link to the retailer where I bought the watch from on AliExpress, so I had a great experience. I would definitely recommend them. If you haven't checked it out, check out my unboxing video for this watch. It arrived in really good time, and I think Farasute did a great job with the overall unboxing for this watch. When it comes to price, so typically you can see this watch anywhere from $210 Canadian up to about $220, $225. We are in the middle of the back to school or the end of summer sale for AliExpress, depending on where you're watching in the world. And right now, pre-coupon, pre-coin discounts, You can see this watch listed for about 200 Canadian. So I really think your target range with coupons and with coins is going to be around 180 or $170. If you can get it at that or below, I think you're getting an absolute banger of a deal on a great dress watch. And obviously, with that, in US dollars, this is coming in well under $150 US. So when we talk about what's on offer at that price range, let's review a little bit about what you're getting for under $150 because it is kind of mind blowing. You're getting an original design, you're getting tremendous texture and detail in that dial, you're getting outstanding case finishing, polishing and overall finishing that is really at the top level of AliExpress, competing with Sam Martin's and Ixindao and Chronos. You're also getting a custom mechanical movement. So again, it's a Hangzhou movement, so one that a lot of us probably aren't admittedly familiar with, but you're getting that custom movement with that small second subdial complication, and you're getting all of that for under $150 US. I think, guys, when you look at that overall offer, I think it's really hard to beat, not just on AliExpress, but obviously within the watch industry itself. So I think a lot of credit to FARASUTE for really taking their time and really making sure that they're putting together an excellent watch at excellent value as well. So the big question is, and I don't think the answer is hard to tell what's coming, but would I recommend this watch overall, and really what is the above the 6 rating for this watch? So again, we did have a couple of areas where I think they could improve the watch. No watch is perfect. So obviously the size of the crown and the strap choice itself. But when you look at what FARASUTE's bringing to the table, I think it's easy, guys. This watch is a 7.8 all day, every day. And I think if you ask me if I would recommend this watch for you to buy, if you're in the market for a great value-based dress watch that's going to look tremendous on your wrist and people are going to compliment you on it, I would absolutely recommend this watch without a doubt. You don't even have to think about it. Hit that link in the description if you're looking for a dress watch and go ahead and buy this watch. You will absolutely not be disappointed. All right, I thought I'd hit you guys with a little bit of a wrist roll just before we wrap things up. You can see how great this watch looks on wrist. Absolutely cracking on wrist. Couldn't be happier with this watch. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, we've got a lot of great content that I'm excited about bringing to you guys in the next couple of weeks. A bunch of good unboxings, some more full reviews, and we're going to crack on with some more banging list videos as well. Let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas or topics that you'd like me to tackle for list videos. I'm definitely open to the feedback. And listen, again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my content. But that's it for this video. And look forward to catching you guys on the next one. But until then, take care.